10, she said. And no one calls me Lolo anymore. It's Lauren. Huh? You look different. Pink tinged her round cheekbones, disturbing the pale complexion that was fair enough to pass, as she'd once said, but with a creaminess that hinted at her biracial heritage. And people pay you for your powers of observation. She sighed. Are you going to let me in, or are we going to have this conversation in the hallway? He leaned an arm against the doorframe. Her gaze traveled down his naked chest, and her blush deepened. A knowing grin tilted his lips, and he lazily scratched the base of his throat. Is there an option C? Her mouth tightened. No. Will I be safe? He asked teasingly. The last time we were alone, you felt me up. He hadn't seen her since the party at his aunt's house 10 years ago. Not since that kiss. The kiss that had shocked the hell out of him. His mind taunted him with the memory of her wide eyes, flushed cheeks, and full, moist lips. Lips so plump and kissable that he'd been unable to resist going back for seconds. Which had been a mistake. He'd been 23 and in law school across the country. She'd been 18 and starting college, there, in Chicago. The last thing he'd needed was to form an attachment that would tie him to the very place he needed to escape. As I said, that was 10 years ago, and while I've matured in that time, you've stayed disappointingly juvenile. He swept his arm aside. Then come on in, said the spider to the fly, she mumbled, entering the condo. He laughed. She was still a smartass. Her clean, cool, tropical scent teased his nose as she passed, and his body tightened. He closed the door and turned, studying her. Her fine features had ripened into a countenance of beauty. She'd straightened her thick reddish-brown curls and tamed them into a sleek knot. An expensive navy blue pantsuit covered her slimmed-down physique. Before him stood a classily composed, grown-up version of the girl he remembered. Interest stirred low in his belly. Girl? Not anymore, he thought, focusing on the outline of her generous breasts, which her suit couldn't hide. Oh, yeah, she'd definitely matured, and he approved of the changes wholeheartedly. Are you done? She asked, her tone sharp enough to cut glass. He tilted his head to the side and motioned with his hand. With the front. Now, if you'll spin around so I can check out the back. The glance she swept over him was so cold he could feel his balls huddle up into his body. She turned quickly on her heels and continued down the narrow hallway that opened into his great room, her staccato steps clicking on the hardwood floors. He followed in her wake, appreciating the sway of her hips as she moved. That was too easy, he said. Are you always this accommodating when entering a man's home? She faltered, but caught herself. He smirked, like getting phone numbers at happy hour. She set her bag on the kitchen counter and moved to stand near his sofa, facing him. We have to talk about... She squinted at his sculptural, glass-topped coffee table. Or rather, what was on the glass-topped coffee table. The lipstick-stained wine glass and diamond bracelet sat brazenly next to his own highball glass. Are we alone? She asked, looking around. He frowned. They'd better be. He didn't do sleepovers, and he was hip to the old leave something behind for an excuse to come back trick. Olivia was getting too comfortable. He made a mental note to messenger the bracelet back to her. Are we alone? Lolo repeated. Why? Do you have something in mind?